A few years ago, I thought I knew exactly who people were. I thought if someone was kind, they'd always be kind. If someone was loyal, they'd always be loyal. And if someone cared about me today, they'd care about me a year from now. But life doesn't work like that. People change. Sometimes they become someone you admire. Sometimes they become someone you barely recognize. And the hardest part isn't watching them change. It's realizing that you've changed too. When we are younger, we think friendships last forever. We think our personalities are already written. We think people around us are permanent. But then life starts happening. Someone moves away. Someone finds a new group of friends. Someone discovers a new passion. Someone goes through a heartbreak. Someone experiences success. And someone experiences failure. And suddenly, they aren't the same person anymore. I used to think that meant something went wrong. Now I think it's just part of growing up. Sometimes I think about who I was a few years ago. Honestly, I barely recognize that person. I cared way too much about fitting in. If everyone liked something, I'd like it too. If everyone laughed at something, I laughed too. Not because I wanted to, but because I didn't want to feel different. Looking back, I wasn't being myself. I was just trying to avoid standing out. And the scary thing is, I didn't even realize I was doing it. And that's the thing about change. It usually happens so slowly that you don't notice it. One thing I have learned is that people influence you more than you think. Not just your closest friends. Everyone. The videos you watch, the music you listen to, the conversations you have every day. They slowly become part of who you are. There was a period where everyone around me complained. Nothing was ever good enough. School sucked. Life sucked. Everything was boring. At first I didn't think it affected me. Then one day I caught myself complaining about things I didn't even care about. It wasn't really me. I just borrowed their mindset without realizing it. That's when I understood something. You don't become the people around you overnight. You become them one conversation at a time. A lot of people think money changes someone, or fame, or success. I don't think it's completely true. I think those things reveal parts of you that were already there. I've seen people become more generous after succeeding, more grateful, more humble. But I've also seen people become arrogant. They stopped answering messages, starting acting like everyone owed them something, starting measuring people's worth by followers, or money, or status. The success wasn't a problem. It just gave them more opportunities to show who they really wanted to be. But success isn't the only thing that changes people. Failure does too. I've seen people lose confidence over one bad experience. One rejection convinced them that they'd never be good enough. One breakup made them stop trusting anyone. One mistake became their true identity. I almost fell into the trap myself. There were moments where I thought, maybe I'm just not talented enough. Maybe this dream isn't meant for me. Those thoughts feel convincing, especially when you're afraid, especially when nothing seems to work. But I learned something. Failure doesn't decide who you become, your response to failures does. When people imagine change, they picture one huge moment, some drastic speech, a life-changing event. But that's rarely how it happens. Most change looks boring. Choosing to read instead of scrolling, going for a walk instead of staying inside, starting a project you've always been avoiding, apologizing first, being honest when lying would be easier. Those tiny choices don't feel important, until you make them every day. Then suddenly, you're living a completely different life. One of the hardest lessons I've learned was that sometimes people change in different directions. That doesn't automatically make someone a bad person. Sometimes your priorities simply stop matching. There were friendships where all we talked about was complaining. We laughed together, we had good moments, but every time I left, I felt less motivated than before. It wasn't because they hated me. We were just becoming different people. For a long time, I tried to force those friendships to stay the same. Eventually I realized, not every friendship is supposed to last forever. Some people are there to teach you something, not to stay for the rest of your life. And here's something I didn't expect. The biggest improvements in my life weren't obvious to anyone else. Nobody noticed that I became a little more patient. Nobody noticed I stopped comparing myself as much. And nobody noticed I became more comfortable being alone. From the outside, I looked almost exactly the same. But inside, everything felt different. Sometimes we focus so much on changing our appearance that we forget character is what actually shapes our lives. Anyone can buy nicer clothes. Not everyone learns to forgive. Not everyone learns discipline. And not everyone learns kindness. Those changes don't get likes on social media, but they completely change your future. One thing that gives me hope is this. Who you are today doesn't have to be who you are next year. You're allowed to outgrow your old habits. You're allowed to change your opinions, and you're allowed to become calmer, kinder, more ambitious, more confident. Changing your mind isn't weakness. It's part of becoming wiser. The only dangerous kind of change is changing to someone you don't respect. Someone who lies more, cares less, treats people worse, and chase approval instead of purpose. That kind of change happens quietly, which is why you have to pay attention to the person you're becoming. Whenever I feel stuck, I ask myself one question. If the version of me from 5 years ago met me today, would he be proud? Not because I've achieved everything I wanted, I definitely haven't, but because I hope he'd see someone who tries harder, someone who gives up less easily, someone who's a little kinder, a little wiser, a little more grateful. That's enough for me, because life isn't about becoming perfect. It's about becoming better than you were yesterday. The truth is, people are always changing. You can't stop that. Some changes will hurt, and some will save you. Some people will become strangers, others become family, and you'll change too. The only question is whether you're changing by accident or by intention. Every decision you make is quietly introducing you to the person you'll become tomorrow. So choose carefully, because one day you wake up and realize you've become someone. Make sure it's someone you're proud to be.